welcome to Good Game Pocket Edition, your weekly wrap-up of all things gaming. I'm Bajo.
And I'm Hex. This week on the show, we see how infamous Second Son handles the shift to a new hero, a new city, and a new console.
But before all that, we played our cards in Hearthstone Heroes of Warcraft. Blizzard's free-to-play card game pulls in a huge cast of characters from its Warcraft games.
I will fight with honor.
Your starting deck is a mage class, as you're taught the basics of using these turn-based matches to erase your opponent's hit points. Once you know the basics, you can challenge the AI or real players online with the hope of winning their character cards.
The light shall bring victory.
This brought a few WoW memories flooding back for me. I found myself naturally leaning towards the rogue class and taking advantage of their quick attacks and assassinations. It's pretty easy to be overconfident early and then be destroyed by an experienced player. Even when you lose though, you're just left hungry for more because you're learning so much.
Yeah, there's a huge amount of strategy at play here. It's easy to lose yourself in customizing each deck, but you also have to consider crafting new cards. Mana plays a big part too, with much needed crystals only being drip-fed. This is a free-to-play game, so there is a microtransaction model, but I didn't really like it in this case, Hex. Still, I had so much fun playing this game, I think I need to uninstall it from my computer. I gave it 8 out of 10 rubber chickens.
I cannot stop playing this game. In fact, I kind of wish I was playing it right now. I gave it 9.5. Next up, we jumped into space to shoot first and ask questions later. Infested Planet is a relentless RTS that's light on plot and heavy on combat. In each round, your lone human base is being assaulted by waves of enemy bugs. You need to split your attention between base building and soldier upgrades as you push the enemy back and destroy its hive.
I think they paced this just right. You're always kept on your toes because you absolutely need to pick the right upgrades. Do I promote the soldiers I have to more powerful units? Or do I just bring in another troop of basic infantry? And if you neglect to arm your base with turrets, you can bet it will soon be overrun by bugs.
Yeah, and it's handy that the game just lets you cash in abilities whenever you want. So if one upgrade path isn't working for a mission, you can try something else. I gave it 8.
Would have been nice to see a multiplayer option, but I gave it 8 as well. Next up, over on Spawn Point this week, we had a look at some ill-tempered birds. Angry Birds Epic abandons the slingshots and instead favours turn-based combat against the piggies in a cutesy RPG. The feathered cast includes the likes of Red the Warrior, Matilda the Healer, and Bomb the Tank. Selecting piggies to attack is as simple as dragging your finger onto them.
I think they've transported the Angry Birds cast into an RPG template quite effectively. There's genuine strategy needed as you decide between attacking or using healing buffs, and the rage chilly attacks just look cool. But it also felt pretty grindy to me.
Yeah, I agree. It's almost like they dragged out the gameplay so you'd buy items purely out of frustration. The weapon upgrading felt particularly cheap because there's a random dice roll that determines the strength, unless you play to roll again. I got over the grind pretty quickly and I gave it 5.
I gave it 5 as well. We also checked out Yoshi's long-awaited platforming sequel. After 2 decades, Yoshi's new island once again reunites Yoshi and Baby Mario as they attempt to rescue Baby Luigi. Whilst Yoshi plays like Mario games in some ways, his gift for being able to eat up enemies and turn them into eggs adds a unique flavour to the action. And the painted backgrounds he travels through add a lot of charm as well.
I think they made some clever uses of the eggs. Yoshi can aim precision shots to hit hard-to-reach items, and different enemies create different eggs. But it was just so easy.
Yeah, I was on autopilot pretty quickly. I think the main problem is that there's no real cost to getting hurt. When enemies hit you, Mario floats off, but you've got ages to get him back. The overly easy gameplay takes a shine off an otherwise polished platformer for me, so I gave it 6.
I gave it 5.5. Alright, Hex, shall we go answer some questions at the Ask Good Game desk?
Let's. Alright, let's get straight to it with this one from Gazebo in Bowen, Queensland. Hello guys, I was just checking some YouTube videos from PlayStation and in the video it stated that Watch Dogs is rated R18+. However, in other earlier videos of the game, it was said to be rated MA15+. I checked the Australian Classification Board website for more information, but there was 2 ratings for the same game. Could you tell me which one is true and the actual classification for Watch Dogs? Thanks!
Well, Gazebo, the short and simple answer is that Watch Dogs has been bumped up to R18 plus classification.
From what we've heard, after the game's release date was delayed, Ubisoft decided to add in some extra scenes to the game, and it's these new scenes which required the game's rating to change.
That's right, and we've even got the quote from the classification board report right here, which says, "The game contains references to sexual violence that cannot be accommodated in the MA15 plus classification category," which states that sexual violence, implied or otherwise, is not permitted.
From what we know of Watch Dogs, the general gameplay won't be as violent as something like GTA 5 though, so it seems like the rating relates mostly to some dark subject matter in the story. But on a slightly different note, what's your take on the apparent visual downgrade people are talking about?
Yes, well, for those who don't know, the latest trailer for Watch Dogs didn't really look quite as shiny and impressive as what we've seen before, so a lot of people got a bit worried. But fancy trailers rarely show you how the game truly looks when you're sitting there playing it. I think we just need to withhold any judgment until we can see it with our own eyes.
Yeah, and that's only a few weeks until we get our hands on it, so I guess all will be revealed then. It's one I've been really looking forward to, so I hope it's good.
Yeah, me too. Speaking of reviews, it's your review time!
Yeah!
And you know me, Hex, I'll take any excuse to talk about Dark Souls, so let's see what everyone thought of Dark Souls 2.
Well, it seems like you all love the pain with not a single negative review on here. I like this one from Sign, who wrote, "Totally love this game, yet hate it with a passion. It's like nicotine for your eyeballs. You don't want it, but you crave it like crazy. For you need to see what's around the next corner, even though you know it is your ever-pending doom." 9.5 stars.
Likewise, Parkour Prodigy wrote, "So frustrating, yet so compelling. So good to see a game challenging us in a time where games are getting easier and more predictable. P.S. You died!" 9.5 stars.
Exorcist X, meanwhile, clearly liked it even more than that, writing, "The history of computers exists solely for the purpose of the production of Dark Souls 2. We have reached the pinnacle with this game. All other games should be measured against this masterpiece. GG should change its rating system to Estus flasks, and the games would only get 10 reed flasks if they were as good, which they wouldn't be. At most, game devs would only hope to be as good as the Dark Souls team, and never better. Hundreds of years hence, gamers will still refer to Dark Souls 2 as the basis for all comparison." Seriously, get this game. 10 out of 10.
Well, not that Doug was a tad more concise, saying simply, "I died a lot." 9.5 stars.
Well, Games was even more concise still, with a one-word review that just says, "Ah!" 9 stars.
Well, plenty of excellent opinions there, Hex.
Yes, but on that note, back to the studio.
Okay.
Infamous Second Son is an open-world superhero game and the third in the series from Sucker Punch Productions. You play as Delsin, who is part of a fictional Native American tribe.
The story begins with a prisoner transport crash that sees the escape of some conduits. Delsin soon discovers he can absorb conduit abilities. Then it's up to him and his equally annoying sheriff brother to attempt to bring down the game's villain, Augustine.
Second Son is set in the small US city of Seattle. I love how they've crafted this world. It's such a crisp and shiny city with such interesting construction and layout, and when you see it from afar, you can't help but put the controller down and just soak it in for a bit.
It just looks stunning, doesn't it? And the particle effects, Hex. Oh, I was in floaty, explodey, dusty bit heaven.
Moving throughout the world is a joy as well. The controls are so responsive and finely tuned, whether Delsin's fighting, climbing, or flying about. And of course, there's lots of goons and encampments to take out to really let you stretch out your superpower legs. No.
Delsin's unique conduit power is the ability to absorb and use the powers of other conduits. You can switch between these abilities on the fly by feeding off objects in your environment. So if you're using smoke, which has good evade maneuvers and damage, you'll need to find a smokestack or a smoking car to recharge. But if you want to run up walls, you'll need to find a neon sign, suck it out, and boom, you're a speedy disco. It's easy to scale buildings and get around with any ability set. And I do like that mechanic of having to search for a smokestack or neon to recharge in the middle of a fight.
Yeah, and it's nice to have that variety. There are some solid enemy types too. Heavy concrete goons are thrown into the mix, which will make a standard fight suddenly more stressful. The game only has a handful of boss fights, but I found them pretty enjoyable.
I don't think any of the missions that you go on were particularly innovative or original though.
I'm not gonna hurt you!
You do have to track down a couple of conduits here and there, but the bulk of the missions are fighting the DUP, and I just found all of that so repetitive, Hex.
Yeah, but I think the combat is good enough to pull you through. Plus, I like that your approach to a fight is really quite different depending on whether you choose good or evil. If you're good, you'll need to be more cautious and carefully subdue enemies, causing as few casualties as possible. If you pick the evil path, it's all about missiles and explosions and executions. I really liked that the good and evil actions you make in the game, both in gameplay and cutscene, also play into what abilities you can unlock.
But Hex, even though there are so many good parts to this game, you know, that impressive combat and those beautiful visuals, I just didn't really have that much fun with it. And I started to feel like this with Infamous 2 as well. Maybe I'm just getting a bit tired of this crackdown-like superhero inner city formula. And there's just not that much that's remarkable about this city besides how beautiful it is, and the citizens derp out a fair bit.
Yeah, the civilian AI is pretty basic. You especially notice it if you're playing the good side. They love and cheer you constantly 1 minute.
I love you, Delson!
But if you injure someone, they run off and cower in fear. Then 10 seconds later, those same people are all cheering for you again.
I want to have your babies!
So what did you give it, Bajo?
I struggle to score this, Hex, because it is so repetitive, but it's also so beautiful. I gave it 7 out of 10 rubber chickens.
Yeah, sure, there are things I could have done better, but I was really won over by this gorgeous playground, so I gave it 8.
Well, that's all the time we've got for this week, but you can catch regular episodes of Good Game 8:30 p.m. Tuesday nights on ABC2.
Next week on the show, we gear up for a return to Diablo 3 with the expansion Reaper of Souls.
And finally, Australian servers.
I know, single-digit ping, those demons aren't gonna know what hit them. Until next time, Hex out.
Bajo out.